Enter Walmart brand Shalltear. Shalltear has entered the scene into Eminence and Shadow. I don't know why Shalltear immediately came to my mind. I guess it's because it's got almost a similar style to her, plus the thirstiness, which is, let's face it, pretty much all the girls of Shadow Garden. But still, I was a little bit kind of intrigued by the entrance of this girl that I recognize her. We're talking about 559. I recognize 559, but at the same time, I couldn't really place it. And then I seen listings for the first season on Mal with 559, but every other site didn't list her. And there was a reason why. I ended up asking the Discord, and the Discord was pointing out that she may have made a cameo at the end of the first season. And I went and checked there, and I'm like, holy crap, I don't know how, but I barely hit this one point where these two were battling as Rose was being brought into the Shadow Garden. And yeah, sure enough, it was 559. Like not even like 2 frames of her on the scene. She was fighting somebody. And I'm like, I think that's probably her. And I paused on it, and sure enough, it was her. So I'm assuming that was when she was fighting 89. So nice little callback back there, like way back in there. Obviously, seeing that they are talking about that now, that was actually portrayed in a sense in the first season. So yeah, apparently 559 was in the last episode of the first season, and now she's returned. And the only reason I was actually trying to look into it somewhat is because obviously 559 is special. We find out in this episode that 559 is special in the idea that, like Rose and the Seven Shadows, are the only people that got power directly from Shadow. So I want to make sure that I'm looking into her and making sure that, yes, she's somehow special. Which, yes, it makes sense if she is powerful enough to start taking down, like, Minnie, and apparently they've insinuated the idea that she can even take on the main 7. Like, I guess there's, like, a power hierarchy, and you can actually challenge the 7s and take their place. It seems like that's what she wants to do, so it kind of makes sense in that whole regard. Even though they're putting so much emphasis on the idea of trying to take that spot, like, 559 wants to take a spot in the main 7. And it's like, that's assuming that Shadow even cares at all about Shadow Garden. It is one of those things where you see how much effort they're putting into being a lead in this organization when he doesn't seem to have any care whatsoever of it. Again, he does partake in it, he does show up in it, and you could assume that, yes, only the 7s can, in a lot of cases, meet with Shadow. So there's a reason why they should want that, but still, it's kind of funny to put so much emphasis on something that doesn't really matter. But yeah, on that side of the Shadow Garden, 559 apparently recruits in other members of Shadow Garden, including Rose specifically. So Rose and 665 and 664 show up. One note I want to make, I don't know why I'd never noticed this before, but it definitely came out in this episode because it was so much like agitation between 4 and 5 that, yes, technically 664 is Karane from 100 Girlfriends, the same Seiyu. So yeah, this episode, I'm like, holy crap, she was just all over the place. I'm like, gosh dang it, Karane is taking over this episode. But yeah, I love her Seiyu, so it works out. But yeah, apparently this is a place that has this one stronghold that was for the Oriana, and Purvasat has basically come in and taken over. And they're trying to figure out why they're trying to take over this place, because obviously the Cult Diablo is involved, and so they go to these ruins. But yeah, before they get to the ruins, 559 reveals that she wanted Rose to come along, not just because she's the princess of this kingdom, but she wants to test her power. Anybody that's weak in the organization, she wants to get rid of. They're not worthy of Shadow. Now, here's one of those moments where it's like, you would assume with how much these girls put so much emphasis on everything that Shadow chooses, he's choosing for a reason. And yes, this could come into something in a story beat later on, but why would 559 question Rose being in the organization and claiming that she's weak, when the person they all claim is the brilliant man that knows everything chose Rose? So it's like, why is she questioning what Shadow did? If she respects him so much, why would she question it? Yes, it comes to that whole idea of jealousy, that she doesn't want Rose to be involved with Shadow because it takes from her, but it's still one of those things where it's like, maybe jealousy takes over logic and the idea that you're obsessed with Shadow and you think he's perfect, but yet you're now saying that he's imperfect because he chose a weakling. It's kind of one of those funny things. There's a side of me that almost wonders if 559 here is trying to push Rose to get stronger. There is a side of me that kind of wonders that, but based on the end of the episode, no, it doesn't seem like that's the case. 559 just literally wants to take down Rose. Assumes at this point that Rose is betraying the Shadow Garden, which I don't really blame her. Because as we find out, yes, at the ruins, her mother's there, and she doesn't look like... like this entire episode, this queen doesn't... She's just there. It's obvious this queen doesn't give a crap about anything. Like, she's just there yawning. She's like going up there, doing whatever the Cult of Diablos wants me to do. The moment that Rose shows up, she's all cowering behind Rose and trying to use her to protect her. She just seems like she's just there. I could assume that, yeah, there's a chance that she is manipulating Rose, but I don't know. I don't want to give the queen that much credit. I think she's just there, and she's just trying to survive. She's a coward that's trying to survive. That's my assumption there. Now, yes, she can turn into being a total jerk that manipulates Rose into joining Hot or whatever, but for now, she just seems like a coward. Now, here's where, again, logic kind of breaks. And yes, I can assume that's because 559 doesn't like Rose. But they're supposed to be observing. The Shadow Garden is supposed to be observing. And they see that they come there to retrieve this ring. And this apparently is the key. So they got to get it. And so, even though they're supposed to just be observing, and it seems like Alpha and all of them are very aware that this is a thing with 559, she decides to attack. This is our chance. Got to get it. And it's probably one of those aspects of her trying to prove herself to Shadow. But what doesn't make any sense is, okay, Cult of Diablo guys take ring, they start walking away. And the queen is back here just chilling. And what does 559 do? We have to get that ring. So let's go kill the queen. It's like, why? Are we just trying to write in some conflict between 559 and Rose? Why go directly to the queen? Like, even Rose asked that. Why my mom? Why do you have to kill her so bad? Again, I think it's just because she knows that Rose cares for her mom and thinks she's weak, and so she's trying to provoke her. So, whatever. But yeah, it seems like after this is where I get annoyed, because it's like it jumps away and then it comes back. And so my assumption is that Rose then took her mom, fled, and then 559, 4, and 5 have basically been fighting the Cult Diablos for 3 days while Rose is chilling over here, you know, reforming the real family. It doesn't make any sense. It's like Rose just leaves and they fight for 3 days while Rose... It doesn't make any sense. Whatever. That's that gap that doesn't make any sense to me. It's like later on it says they were fighting for 3 days, and then finally Shadow shows up, takes him out, and finds out that Rose is wanting to marry Hot. But yeah, Shadow shows up, saves them. 559 gets all doki doki, says that we need to take down Rose. I don't like Rose. And then he gets all angry, and 559 assumes that he's following what she's saying, that Rose is betraying them. But no, it's Rose is betraying what he wanted to do, which was to raise her up to be the next, like, tyrant. But yeah, that all gets into Sid's perspective of this episode, which is mostly just, I don't know, soul-searching. There was a part of me that I kind of was hoping that something was going to come from this episode. Like, it opens up. When the last arc ended, it emphasized the idea that Shadow Sid felt upset. Like, I sort of did them dirty. Like, I did Shadow Garden dirty. I'm going to go do my own thing, give them time, and hopefully this whole thing will settle. So it gave this indication that at least Sid understood that he did something that kind of impacted the girls. And then we open this episode, and it does feel like that's still the case. It goes right into Sid essentially trying to... soul-searching. He's trying to figure out what he wants Eminence and Shadow to be. He's like, I've always been fighting for this thing, but I don't know what that really is. And so it does feel like there's some sort of development happening in Shadow's character, and then it just kind of... it just doesn't care. Like the writer almost tries to get into some sort of change, and then it goes, never mind, I don't really want to do that. I just want to leave Sid the way that he is. It's almost like the writer wanted to do something, and then he's like, nah, that'll change things too much. Let's just go back to being Sid. Yes, technically he does come to an understanding of what he wants to do, and that is that he decides, oh, what cool thing I can do next is I can turn the Eminence and Shadow sort of into this person that's puppeting the next tyrant of this country. I want to be the one in the background helping this new leader come into the seat of the throne, and then when they become a tyrant, then I'll come in with the heroes and fight back. Like this idea of they were friends and they helped each other, and he got her on the throne, and then at some point she turned evil, and then he had to do the thing that he never wanted to do, which is take her down. That's pretty much what he turned it into. Like, it went from, you know, fighting the Cult Diablos and taking down the bads and doing whatever the hell he wants to essentially aiding in the next monarch. It was kind of funny to see that he doesn't technically understand why Rose killed her father. That was sort of a chuckle from me, and the idea that he didn't, again, this is that case where everybody always sees the situation completely different than he does. He's just doing whatever his whims desire, and they think that he understands the situation. And yes, yeah, that when Rose first came into that room where her father was, she seen her father was, like, drugged up. He was out of his mind. They manipulated him so much with these drugs that he was just out. And so she chose to essentially end him, put an end to his life, and put an end to their kingdom. Like, let's just stop it. I don't want to be a part of it. So at the time, she was willing to even end her own life. But then Shadow showed up and completely misunderstood the situation, and she just left. So it was kind of interesting that completely beyond him, but totally normal for Shadow. But yeah, he decides that he wants to raise Rose up to be the next tyrant, as he claims it. And while he's preparing for that and trying to figure out how he's going to go about that, which had nothing to do with actually raising her up, like he says he's trying to find a footing. And so he goes to the prison and infiltrates it and eats steak there, apparently. And then he joins like an entire militia, an army, and doesn't like that. And then he said that he recreated this legend of the past, and that didn't work out because these other guys got the glory. I don't know what that was about. Maybe that was something that was brought up in the first season that I completely forgot about, because it seems like a reference. And yeah, eventually he finds out about this treasure and goes off and runs into 559 and finds out about Rose marrying Purposehot. I don't think that's what's going to happen. See, okay, Rose's perspective. Let's jump to Rose's perspective. Again, she comes there, meets 559, learns that she's like very special in a way, and then eventually they go to the ruins. 559 tries to kill her mother, and then Rose starts to have the struggle again about, I joined Shadow Garden because I wanted the power to change things. It seems to be portraying the idea that Rose doesn't like what they're doing. Like, I want to fix this world, and here I'm watching 559, who is a part of the group that I joined in order to fix things, and her result is to just kill my mom. Like, my mom has nothing to do with this, and she wants to kill my mom. It doesn't make any sense. So my assumption is that, yeah, she joined the Shadow Garden because Shadow Garden was changing things when she wasn't able to. Now they're doing things that doesn't seem like it's going to fix the situation. It's only going to make it worse, killing innocent. And so my assumption is that has pushed her out. Like, she didn't join Shadow Garden for very long before she realized, yes, newsflash, they're killing thousands of people. Like, Shadow Garden is just murdering left and right. Like, this whole story makes every person that Shadow and Shadow Garden kills as comical and fun. But yeah, they're killing a bunch of innocent people most of the time. Like, yes, there's a lot of bad people. They're all tied in with the cult Diablos, but they are, in a lot of cases, killing a lot of innocent people. Now, there could be a chance that 559 has seen something that we haven't yet, that, yeah, Rose's mom is super evil, that she's manipulating everybody. But because story, she can't reveal that to Rose and explain it. Like, no, your mom is bad. Like, she's super bad. But that's kind of pushed Rose out of the Shadow Garden already, unless she's working secretly with Alpha or something like that. It seems like based on Gamma later on, she's like, yeah, let Cult Diablo have Rose. So it seems like it doesn't seem like there's any sign that they're secretly working with Rose. So Rose is going to go in there and apparently marry Purposehot. Doubt that. There's a side of me that kind of wonders if Rose is setting up this marriage in order to kill Purposehot, like get close to him. If she is actually going to marry Purposehot, that doesn't make any sense. Like that's going to break logic around Rose like massively. And Rose has been honestly one of the most interesting characters of the series so far. I really liked her story arc in the first season, so I'm kind of happy to see her come back into the fold. But yeah, I don't see this kind of going through. I think she's probably going to try to finally kind of break it from the inside, or at least maybe get her mother in position of taking over. I don't know. I have a massive question mark as to what she wants to do right now. In the first season, she gave up the crown. She didn't want to have anything to do with it. She wanted to let it all fall. She killed her dad, was going to kill herself. Yet she eventually joined the Shadow Garden, hoping that she can change things. Why go back to square one and want to rejoin this political war and become the queen that she didn't want to be to begin with? What was the purpose? Was it seeing the damages that were happening because she let it be that is bothering her? Because I ran away from my responsibility as part of this royal family, this has happened. I mean, through Sid, we're seeing that. I mean, he's in the front line there, staying at this inn. Got the lady from the house at Lawless City that's, running this entire inn. You're seeing how bad things are. And the governments and everything are just kind of using and discarding the people. So maybe she's seen that and said, crap, I do want to kind of fix this whole thing. What can I do to fix it? And obviously being with Shadow Garden, who just wants to kill my mom for some reason, rather than the person that has this ring that's supposed to be special, is not going to fix things. So I don't know. We'll see in the coming episodes. It's a good setup. Like it's already got a good, decent setup with this arc already. because again, I kind of like Rose's story to an extent. So I'm definitely interested to see which direction it goes. But yeah, either way, very interested to see where this goes from here. But it seems like a lot of stuff is going back to like that last arc of the first season. So it's nice to see that kind of all come back to the forefront and technically give it a resolve, because it kind of left it back here. We went and did this all other stuff, and now we're going to come back and hopefully finally resolve that whole situation. I don't know. It could just leave Ariana just in chaos for the rest of the series. I mean, I wouldn't put that past the series. I mean, there's nothing to say that it has to be resolved. Anyhow, that's my thoughts on episode 9 of Eminence Shadow 2nd season. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what's thought of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get my content. I news reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does. And y'all take care.